afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to Phil's Corner. Hopefully, we are working. We had some technical difficulties on the Tuesday stream, and apologies for those who tuned in, and we had to cut the Tuesday stream short. We're back today, and hopefully we're good. But if there's any problems, please just stick a message in the chat, and hopefully we can avoid that. But welcome to Daredevil, one of our regulars. Says happy Friday, Junior, as is customary. Finns came back into Jags. They did, and honestly, I thought we played really well. That's the Jacksonville Jaguars of the NFL. For anyone who doesn't know, that ETN fumble, well, the defender punched it out, didn't he? But I think if it scored that we would have been home dry. But fair play, you played well. Looking forward to the game tonight. Actually, we've got the Thursday night football is the Bills, isn't it, against the Dolphins? But yeah, fair play to. There's a couple of Dolphins fans in the who are usually in the chat, so you've earned bragging rights there. That's for sure. But I thoroughly enjoyed the first week of the NFL as we turn back. Welcome, guys. As you filter in, warm welcome to those who are joining on X or Twitter. If that is you, hello, and if it's your first time, please do consider popping over to YouTube to subscribe to the channel, to Phil's Corner. It really does help me out as a small independent content creator. Every subscriber makes a big difference, and of course you can also do all the good YouTube stuff. Leave a like or comment on the video itself as well. That really helps. Hey JPR, good to see you. You can also, of course, my check is falling down. I think the mechanism in it is broken. So if I slide down during the stream, you know why. Of course, as Daredevil and JPR, as the guys have done, you can join in on the chat. You can do that both on Twitter or YouTube. So if you're on Twitter, you can click on the card just below the video, and then you will get a chat window on the right of your screen. I forget what it's like on mobile, but I'm sure it should be there for you. And if not, obviously YouTube as well has a chat. And indeed, some more chat about the game. Daredevil says, yeah, that bunch of people saved us, but your defense is looking good. Honestly, given how good Miami's offense is, I'm very happy that we could contain them, relatively speaking. JPS says the fun will change it all. Indeed. But Matthew also jumping in, says, hi Phil, I hope you're well, mate. Got a really special shirt arriving tomorrow. Picked up the Portland Thorns 2013 away in Vaping It. A brand new tags for 70 quid from USA. That's awesome. Is that with delivery, Matthew? I mean, even if it isn't, that's great. I love Portland Thorns shirts. They've had some really good ones. I've also made a purchase. I've made a rare kind of full price purchase. I am picking up the FC Basel away shirt. It's my top shirt of the year so far. And I like to pick up at least a couple of my shirts that I like from different teams, different brands. Regardless of kind of my go-to teams like the Boca Juniors, etc. So I'm excited to see that in person. It's a little bit bigger than I would usually get, but it was already selling out in the sizes that I was looking for. A few places have begun to stock the home shirt. I've not seen the away stocked much, so I made the kind of the jump to pick that one. So that's on its way, which I'm really excited about. That's the FC Basel away, which is our current top shirt on the hot wall. My chair keeps falling. I'll try once more, and if it keeps falling, then we'll have to run with it. Anyway, so that's exciting. When I get that, I'll share some photographs. Right, I think we can go to the hot wall now. Let me just switch my screens over, and I'll do my best to keep an eye on the chat. But of course, you'll forgive me if I miss your messages immediately. This is the hot wall. This is our tier list. Again, we started this in January, and we've been going through a lot of the shirts. We have missed quite a few weeks, and it's going to take me a while to catch up on it fully. But of course, as typical release season does slow down towards the end of the month, we'll have plenty of time in those weeks to kind of backtrack and go through some of the summer shirts that we missed. But nonetheless, my favourite shirts of the year on the right. I've mentioned Basel there they are. But we've also got some shirts. I mean, there was the Malaga shirt, which was actually technically last season, the end of last season. But again, calendar year we're talking here, so 2024 releases. Basel home as well. That's probably my favourite home and away combo. But there's some others. I mean, Sunderland as well. It's very rare to see a team with 2 shirts in the Volcano Tier. So good stuff for those clubs. But indeed, plenty of releases that I've enjoyed. I mean, we really, it's getting pretty busy. Of course, as we get down to our 3rd tier, which is the candle tier, shirts which are a little bit hot, but maybe missing 1 or 2 things to be considered great in my eyes. But there we go. Let's add to this today. Matthews also says, yes, include delivery. It's a Tattoo Inspire one that was mega expensive when it was released. That is a really nice pickup. And is that, final question on this one, Matthew, is that in your size as well? Because that is really sweet. Right, we're going to go to Football Shirt Culture, a site which I like to use for keeping track on releases. They, broadly speaking, do a pretty good job of keeping up to date with launches. Sometimes stuff slips through the cracks or ends up. So, for example, this Betis shirt has been released actually for a couple of months, but they've only just put it on here. But other releases like the Man City 4 shirt, which again are hot off the press, that's here. So that's probably today's biggest talking point, I think, or at least one of the big talking points. But we'll start with Royal Antwerp. JPL says Basel, nice. Got the LAFC Authentic arriving today. Nice. I'll see it. Yes, of course, the CFS birthday sale. Very, very nice indeed. And size large, Matthew. Very good, very good. Right, so we're going to start with Royal Antwerp, and this is the brand Jacko. A brand who have done some good stuff, and they've kind of been fairly quiet, I would say, in recent years, but they're very much, a brand who have been operating at a decent level in that kind of very competitive tiers, kind of 2 and 3 of the manufacturer space. Presence across a number of leagues, and they don't have my favourite brand mark. I don't love their kind of sleeve design that they have on their shirts. To me, it's a little bit kind of cheap, but having said that, their shirts can be pretty good, so we don't hold that against them too much. So what do they have to say here with Royal Antwerp? Apologies there. So we have a very interesting colourway firstly. This is kind of reminiscent to me of the kind of I'll just turn my mic up a bit there. Kind of like the Aston Villa Muller shirts from the 90s. It kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And I must say, it has a lot I like. I quite enjoy. Well, the first thing, if we just get out of the way, terrible sleeve sponsor and not a great shirt sponsor. So we have to kind of ignore that really as much as we can. Yeah, again, reminds me of that Villa shirt, and the colours again with the kind of darker green, the black and the red. These kind of, I quite like the style honestly with the sort of double pinstripes. I think broadly speaking, I'm into it. And again, bit of a shot at the crest here. Not the best view of exactly what's going on. Is it my favourite colour combo? Certainly not. But I think it adds. Well, it's an unexpected colour combo. It's certainly not a run-of-the-mill colourway, and that is a good thing. Because again, we're looking at a third kit here, so typically speaking, this is your opportunity to do something a bit different. But I quite like the approach from the team. And Jacko broken up at the back for numbers. It is what it is. This is, of course, the standard. And I'm intrigued to see this. What looks like it's either a embossed or it could be a Jacko. I think it looks like it is. At the very least, some sort of pattern in the material. It could just be a print or a sublimated pattern, but nonetheless, I think I'm broadly in favour of the shirt. But it's not a standout. I don't think it will get into the flames tier, but it's a kind of high candle tier. That's kind of where I'm thinking. a very respectable position in our tier list. The best in sponsor, again, we try not to factor sleeve sponsors in too much, but they are a factor, and of course, in many ways, we don't want to. Well, sponsors are important. They are a big part of shirts, and at the end of the day, they can. I mean, some shirts down here in this area of the tier list would be much higher if it were not for the sponsor, and conversely, there are some shirts where the sponsor actually helps push it up into higher tiers. So that's my thinking for Royal Antwerp. Let's continue now with FC Basel. Now, we talked a bit about them at the top of the show. I am a huge fan of their home and away shirts. I really enjoyed reading up about the story of them. Inspired by flamed flags, which are a bit of a kind of I forget the Swiss name for them now, but yeah, basically flags with a kind of with emanating wavy flame, almost like kind of sun rays, which are a big thing in Switzerland and a deep connection to the country's history, and indeed their current. You see these flags all around Switzerland still. I love the story, I love the execution, and indeed the away is on its way to me, so I'm looking forward to seeing that in person. What of their third shirt? Now, great to see a different approach. As much as I really like the home and away, I think again it would have been probably a bit much to have a home and away and third in the same look. Hey Duncan, good to see you, mate. Hopefully we can avoid the problems we had on Tuesday. Hey, do let me know if there's any problems, Duncan, with the stream, but hopefully it's all good. So this one definitely sits in a different spot, and some nice details. I mean, this is the thing about Macron and Basel. They've got a great partnership going on, and it's not just Basel. Macron have been on good form for a while now. Love the scales of the numbers, which seems to fit. I don't know exactly the story here. We've got the kind of basilisk. Okay, so that's the kind of the creature we've got here, and in terms of the pattern, top marks will be in front and back in full. That is, again, we just spoke about it with the Royal Antwerp shirt. Typically, you have plain back, so that's really strong, and a very interesting colour as well. It's certainly different. It sits, positions itself well as a contrast to the blue and red of the home and the white and black of the away. So, excuse me, I'm barely into the stream and I'm already yawning. I need to burn up my stamina. So I'm in favour of the shirt, but it doesn't reach the heights of the home and away for me. And to be honest, I think in isolation, this is still a very good shirt, but I personally much prefer the home and away. Having said that, I quite like this style of collar. It's not for everyone, but I enjoy the sort of tight crew neck with the collar. For me, that's actually quite a nice style. Of course, the cuffs matching with the collar doesn't hurt. And indeed, on the bottom, we've got a little bit of a kind of side hem matching side hem action there. Back neck detail is good. So this is a flame stitch shirt for me, and quite easily a flame stitch shirt. But it doesn't reach the heights, as I say, of the home and away on my personal rankings. Still a very, very decent shirt though, and I think again as a trio, we talked about. I mentioned Sunderland as well, being one of my favourite, or certainly one of my favourite home and away combos. I think I like this one a lot more than the Sunderland third shirt, which was still good. But again, if we were to consider the best home, away and third trio, I doubt we're going to see many better than Basel. And indeed, I think we're still talking in this kind of area of the tier list as the rain pours down. Not that you need a weather forecast, but it suddenly got very loud and very rainy here in Huddersfield. Anyway, Basel, let's go here. I like it a lot. I really do like it. And I mean, that's pretty amazing to have your home, away and third shirt all in this top area of the tier list. What's that, the top 50 shirts? Something like that? I can't really, I'm not going to do quick maths, but Similar to Cole's third shirt, yes, absolutely. I can see that, Duncan, for sure. Yeah, big fan. What of the City fourth kit? Now, this has had a lot of buzz. I must say, in terms of, well, when we first saw the leaks for this, I was extremely down on the shirt. Of course, you always have to take leaks with a pinch of salt. My feelings haven't changed much, particularly. It's not a shirt I like a lot. Having said that, in terms of, you know, the concept execution, with this shirt being inspired by, it's 30 years since Oasis's Definitely Maybe album, and you all know the cover. It's fair to say that I think Puma have executed the brief pretty well. Honestly, the colours are very evocative of the album art. I personally, honestly, I don't like it. I don't like the combination though. In terms of the finished product, this combination of the crest execution, which to me honestly falls a little bit flat, you know, it's a change up and a nice point of distinction in some ways, but equally I don't think the execution is very strong. This kind of flat gradient style, I would say looks a bit cheap, especially when you have, you know, much better styles or kind of techniques available when you're kind of, you know, this is obviously one of Puma's top teams. I'm also not a big fan of the kind of this kind of sound or kind of emanating circles design, which I'm not a big fan of. It looks to me a little bit tacky, and indeed, you know, the colours are very interesting. They're very surprising. This kind of combination you don't see often, with the kind of pink peach tones, the blue, the yellows, but it's not an attractive combo for me. I could kind of see this maybe as like a training shirt. Yeah, the pattern is on the back. We have to take the wins where you can get them. Honestly, I wonder if the Puma template is actually hurting this one as well. I'd be interested to see this in some other kind of constructions. It's not for me. However, I do think the execution, again, from the idea is good. You know, it does have a clear link to Definitely Maybe, but it's not for me. I think it's a little bit too garish, and I understand again that they were trying to closely follow that Oasis aesthetic, but I don't think the end result is particularly strong. Having said that, yeah, this is Robert saying, looks like the home shirt was washed together with the orange keeper shirt. Yeah, I think that's the thing. The kind of washed out tones, I get it, and it is quite a kind of an interesting direction to go down. And I think they've executed it reasonably, but I don't think it makes for a nice football shirt, personally. However, I think in terms of the execution on the concept, some of the ideas, you know, they're fairly original. It's going to keep it from the bottom tier, and that is probably a surprise for some people, given how much I've been down on the shirt. I think we're talking something in this kind of region of the tier list, so still pretty low. We'll go here, and funny enough, that's where we have another City Group shirt. I forget if that was it Girona? I forget who that was now. Anyway, we'll go here for City's. Oh, the rain is really heavy. For City's, you can probably hear it on the mic, or maybe not. City's fourth kit, of course, much debate as well about I've got a call there, which I'll have to leave. About whether to have fourth kits, and again, I think one of the biggest things about the industry is that not only are third kits now the standard, fourth kits are increasingly common, and they're increasingly kind of the opportunity or the canvas for collaboration shirts. So that's a whole discussion. We would need several videos to fully digest that topic. Some thoughts on the chat. Duncan saying, not a fan of the City shirt at all. Yeah, I was saying the crest looks like Chelsea's crest from last year that Nike did. And JPR saying, so Noel Gallagher shouldn't give up the day job. That's what I'm suggesting here. Some comments. Excuse me. Oh, sorry guys. I don't know what's going on here. JPR saying Osasuna. So shout out to Osasuna, really strong set too. Third shot also somewhat. Yeah, Osasuna definitely has some strengths in their collection this year. And then I was saying, are you a fan of fourth kits and how many times will they even wear this kit? I think the question, am I a fan of fourth kits? I would say I'm broadly not a fan. However, ultimately, if they're done well, I think they still have their place. And you know, ultimately, I'd rather teams kept some of their shirts for 2 years. We're not in that world, and I think at least again, I'd rather see them done well. That's my main focus. Excuse me, I cannot stop yawning. But we have Aarhus from Denmark. They recently switched from Hummel to Denmark. Hummel themselves are based in Aarhus, and I've had the pleasure of visiting a few times for work, so some interest in this kit. A very interesting one here. This is inspired by the running track around the team stadium. Of course, many European stadiums in particular do have running tracks around them. We saw, I believe, was it last year or the year before, the Puma's third shirt, Unam Pumas. I think it was one of the recent third shirts anyway, also inspired by a running track. Quite a nice shirt, I must say. I think in terms of the pattern, I like this style. This looks to be an embossed pattern. And indeed, it's not my favourite kind of colourway, but in terms of the execution of the pattern, that's really strong. And I don't personally mind the cutout crest. I think it's reasonably well executed. And you can see here, you know, you've got the centralised craft logo with the off-centre club crest and the sponsor there in the middle. I think this is a pretty smart shirt. I like the I like the style of the pattern, and personally for me, I'm taking this style of pattern every day over a simple print, and it's an all-over pattern which adds some interest. It's not too dominant, but this one is, I think, actually a sneaky entry in our Flames tier. This is a kind of low-key Flames tier shirt for me. It's not gonna necessarily win a lot of people over, but when I see this makes you think a lot of the brands. I think, you know, again, the brand like Craft, who are relatively small in the industry, happy to see this, because I think, again, in terms of techniques that are used, the way the pattern's been created, I think it's very strong. So a low Flames tier, but pretty decent stuff, to be honest, from Aarhus. I think, yeah, something in this area feels good. There's a gap, a sort of gap there. Let's go there for Aarhus and Craft. Hope you do well today, guys. If you are tuned in for the first time, very, very warm welcome, and of course, please do consider subscribing if you're new to the channel and you have not yet subscribed. Please consider doing so. And I'm glad most of all that we have not. The stream hasn't dropped yet, as far as I know, so that is good. We come to Real Betis and their very luminous away shirt. Now, again, we talked about this before. This is indeed a shirt which has been out for a couple of months, I believe. Some interesting details. The old school crest. I must say I quite like the look of this crest. The application style could be slightly more durable, but, you know, I do quite like the visuals of this retro crest being quite a big theme this year. And indeed, there's an embossed pattern as well, which features the same script in the crest. So I like that a lot. In terms of the style, I'm not a big fan. It's a silly thing, but this this neckline. We've seen this on Hummel shirts for a number of years. This reminds me a lot of, we talked about with Macron and their kind of fake laces neckline, and how they've basically been recycling that for a number of designs over recent years, over multiple years. It's kind of like that here with Hummel. I forget which shirts this has been on, but we have seen this on other Hummel shirts. I'm sure you'll remember. And broadly speaking, I'm not a fan of it. Of course, the colour is extremely bright, kind of highlighty yellow. It works well enough. It does contrast the black quite well, and I'm glad that we have fully black sleeves and black shorts. It helps balance out the very, very bright base. I quite like the shirt. It's like a sneaky kind of guilty pleasure almost. Of course, being Hummel doesn't hurt either. I would put it somewhere below the Aarhus shirt though. I think if we're looking at rankings here, it's kind of on that Flames tier border. I'm going to stick it at the top of the Candle tier. I do like it a lot. And I think honestly the embossed pattern does a lot as well. To have that really makes a difference. As you've seen, as I'm becoming increasingly aware of, I'm a big fan of embossed patterns. Even better, kind of jacquards, patterns in the body, or patterns in the fabric of the shirt and that sort of thing. It's the quickest way to my heart, should we say, when it comes to football shirts. Let's go here. Let's go down. We're next to another Hummel shirt there in the Sunderland shirt. That is Betis. Good stuff from Hummel and Real Betis. But guys, thank you for tuning in today. Hope you're very well. For those who are tuning in a bit later, very excited that my favourite shirt of the year so far, the Basel shirt, that is on its way. So I'll be photographing that and looking forward to seeing that in person. Yeah, Dodo was saying the template of the Betis one makes it look like a training kit. I hear you there. Honestly, it's that neckline for me. I mean, talking of old templates, we've got some more here for the likes of Nike. But if we come to Lech Poznan, a very interesting shirt here. This is the third kit from the brand, and this is another one from Macron. We can see here, in terms of the kind of style of the shirt, certainly this colorway I think has a lot of legs. You kind of see these kind of maroon gold navy, this kind of combo. The collar looks a little bit big there. The sizing looks a bit kind of off on some of the shots, but we're not going to judge that too much. Superbet sponsor is what it is. At least it is recolored. Interesting to see the club crest in the standard colours as well. I think notably a lot of teams will of course recolor their club crest, and in some ways now, because it's so common, it's actually kind of refreshing to see it in its original colours. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy a well recolored crest, a crest that is coloured to match the design of the shirt. Excuse me, but at the same time, because we see it so often, it's actually funny doing the opposite. Keeping your original club colours almost stands out as positive. Yeah, so this one I think is generally quite smart. Again, you've kind of got the subliminal stripes here, which add a lot. They do actually help give the shirt a little bit more interest compared to just being a plain base, and that is good. And this kind of wide collar style, again, we get a look at it here. It's pretty good. It's quite a flappy collar. And they are fairly chunky cuffs, but I think the style works pretty well. Yeah, I think this one is again, we're talking like somewhere on the border of the Flames tier. I think I'll sneak this in the Flames tier. Not too high, but I will put it there because I think it does quite a lot well. And it's funny, I actually think having that full colour crest, weirdly, I find as a positive, despite the colour clash. Daredevil, however, says this is very high flames tier. I don't blame you at all, Daredevil. I think there's very few things I think this shirt does wrong or does badly. Even though it's not, again, not shooting up the tier list for me personally, it does do a lot of things well. We'll go here for Lech Poznan, the OG crest gets me going. It's definitely a positive. It's definitely a positive for me. Guys, I'm going to take a very short break, grab a drink, and I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And we are back. Thank you for your patience. Alianza Lima. Now, we mentioned just a moment ago of old templates, and sadly Nike's kind of loosely Toto 90 inspired template from a couple of years ago has not really got any better with age. I am more partial to the version of this template which has what I've referred to in the past as the bat wings on the front. That one with the kind of contrast panel at the top is one which I've enjoyed. This one, not so much. There's a nice inside detail which is fine. And the purple and gold, it's a combo. Excuse me. What is going on with my tiredness levels? I apologise. It's a combo which it gives the kind of, the royal regal look. I don't mind it. It's not one we actually see often. If just literally jumping back to the hot wall here, there's not many that are purple and gold. There are quite a few purple shirts, but nonetheless, I think this one is kind of, again, mid canon tier. I think Nike really did. Also, I think they dropped the ball with their templates from this round of templates. Largely speaking, were not a success, and as such, this one is always going to have its ceiling capped. In my personal rankings, I think we can drop it below Sissy. Something like here feels about right for Alianza. And Duncan saying, hardly ever see a bad shirt from Akron. I like how they see clear templates. Every one of their shirts is exposed to each club. They do a really good job, and I think what they do really well is they of course do have shared elements occasionally, but because their shirts are considerably more customizable, they do clearly show more bespoke treatment to their teams. It really helps, and they have a huge catalogue. It's not, they have loads of teams that they work with, but they do a really good job of again keeping their designs fresh from club to club. Paris FC released a shirt which is inspired officially by the Renault R5 E-Tech vehicle. The kind of colours from that, it reminded me a lot of the basketball court. I forget the name of it now. In Paris, which at one point was painted reskinned, if you like, in these sorts of colours. To me, it's kind of in my head canon, it's a tribute to that. But honestly, quite a strong, punchy colourway. Reminds you a bit of the San Diego. Was it San Diego Wave? You'd have to forgive me, I forgot the name of the NWSL team. Reminds you of the colours of that shirt. We like that shirt a lot. I like the pattern a lot in this one, in that one. This one, it doesn't reach those heights. And ultimately, as nice as I do think the colours are, and as strong as a potential as I think they have together, it's essentially just stuck onto a basic Adidas shirt. For this to really be to go much higher, you'd want to see some more of these colours in other areas. I think of the shirt, the very best would be to get some of those colours in the stripes, for example. That's a lot to ask for. Of course, you have a plain back as well. But this one has, again, a lot of kind of immediate impact with that colourway on the front. And I must say, I think with that in mind, it's pushing the Flames tier. I think we may... Well, let's have a look. Let's cut it out and see. Sometimes you kind of need to see it against other shirts to fully... Oh, maybe we can get a bit higher than that, can't we? There we go. To kind of fully appreciate. Let's have a look here. Yeah, I think we can sit this one like just in the Flames tier. At the very beginning of the tier, I must say I do kind of dig this colourway, even though it is restricted to that front of the shirt. Let's go here. Let's fill in that gap. Why not? Next to Betis there. That is Paris FC. Big San Diego FC vibes. Yeah, is it San Diego Wave? I think they were called the Wave. Maybe it was just FC. Very much reminded me of that, but in a good way. In a very good way. Go to Basel El Mahala, an Egyptian side. I must admit I've not heard of them before. The brand Tempo, and this is from a distance it looks like a plain white shirt, but we do have a pattern in the body, and indeed it seems to be, well, let's have a read. Is it, I would assume, given the Egyptian connection, I don't want to kind of stereotype that this might be a kind of hieroglyphics pattern, or maybe it's not hieroglyphics. That was very stereotypical of me. I'm trying to get a handle on this. If we could just zoom in. Stop. Again, I need to actually download the image. I'm not going to bother doing that. Yeah, hard to get a real sense of the pattern. I'm not seeing any description. Excuse me. Quite a simple one, but the pattern really does at least give it something to go on, and I think that is the key. Honestly, the construction actually is quite intriguing. This kind of this style of or this kind of cut, the panel here, almost evokes kind of like armor, like kind of it's a very interesting style. Honestly, I think I'd like to see more of this template in different colorways, maybe with a contrasting panel here. I think that would actually add a lot of visual impact, because that is a very interesting look based on these images. Of course, it being largely white, we don't really necessarily get a big, too much to go on here. But overall, I think this is perfectly fine. It's a kind of mid counter tier, trending towards the mid to high counter tier. I think the pattern, from what we can see of it, does look pretty good. I'd like to see a little bit more, maybe just a bit more of the lighter blue as well. We see that in the crest and in the bottom side of the shirt. I think we could do with a bit less white and a bit more blue. Again, to add a bit more interest to this kit. We'll go here though for Al Mahala, Ghazal Al Mahala. Indeed, we see their home shirt, and now this, of course, no surprise, we do have that lighter blue, so this explains why there wasn't so much blue on the away. And let's see, do we have that same template? We do. Again, I think this one honestly would benefit from some other styles or other kind of approaches. You know, having for example this panel in the black, I think that actually would be quite interesting. I think it would add quite an interesting contrast. The shirt itself actually, I think, works a bit better in the blue. It could be just because we see more of the pattern. But I am, you know, liking this one a bit more. The crest kind of gets lost. I mean, obviously there is the outline here, but overall, I think this one I like a bit more. Still in the Volcano Tier, but I'll bump it up a few points, so to speak. And yeah, I forget if Tempura Brown was seen before, or it could even be an in-house shirt. Let's just have a look and see. I believe no. I mean, it's not a culturally informed pattern. I like that. That's a good way to describe it. Maybe it is hieroglyphics inspired. I don't know. But anyway, before I tangle myself in any more knots, let's get this on the board. And that is the home shirt here. I think somewhere here is reasonable. Let's go the gap. Good stuff. We've got the pre-match shirt for the MLS. This, of course, the MLS do a number of pre-match shirts during the year. This is one we're not going to rank simply because we don't look at pre-match shirts. We don't actually rank goalkeeper kits either, simply to kind of give ourselves a few more rules and a bit of structure. But, you know, pretty much all the MLS shirts now have something about them, the pre-match shirts. And they're very collectible. They do a good job of leading into the themes here, but we will not rank it for today. We'll come to Al Ali instead. Matthew said, looking forward to your thoughts on the Brooklyn FC shirts further down the list. Let's have a look at those. Okay, nice. I mean, to be honest, we may actually end with those because, well, I wanted to go to about 3. We may go a bit longer, but yeah, that's very good. We'll certainly come to those shortly. Matthew, I've not seen them before, so I'm excited to check that out. Al Ali, one of the big clubs of Egyptian football. This shirt is a mixed bag for me. I think, broadly speaking, I like the base style of this Adidas template, and I think, you know, although it is, you know, it has that kind of Team Geist connection, it does still, I think, stand much taller than, for example, the Nike template which we looked at with the Allianz Lima shirt. And the red and gold, not my favourite combination, but it's executed well, and I don't mind again the balance, because I think the template does lend itself well to having this kind of 2-colour approach. The pattern is a bit of a letdown for me. It feels very kind of stock, very catalogue. It's the kind of pattern where, honestly, I don't think it's much better than a plain shirt. Or at least when I see this pattern, it feels very much like an afterthought. So it's not to my taste. So again, I think the kind of base style, the base look, the colours, there's something about it, but I am not really digging the pattern. And it may even be bespoke. I honestly don't know if this is a pattern we've seen before. I think it is, but honestly, you know, I look at so many shirts that I could be confusing it with another similar kind of hexagon based design. But nonetheless, let's get it in the Volcano Tier, and I think we can say something around here feels reasonable for Al Ali. So completely fine, but honestly could be much better. Staying with Adidas, but now traveling to Germany, we have the Union Berlin away. The pattern here is seen on the body of the shirt. is pretty good. I think, to be honest, I'm not loving the colours. These colours feel quite kind of tired. The black and red. It could just be that we're looking at the kind of product shot, and if we saw some more kind of well stylized, not bespoke as edible, right? Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not loving the colorway here, and of course the plain back, you know, to be expected. Good to see the pattern. The pattern continuing on the back, but it's only really on this panel, and this is the funny thing about this Adidas template. Having the panel here on the back allows for some design customization options, but ultimately when the back is a plain black, it is still quite jarring. I think really we need a bit like this pattern. I get it. It does add a bit of depth to the shirt, but I don't think, again, I'm not the biggest fan of the combination, and even the way the Berlin, I don't know if I was told earlier in the summer that this was kind of a placeholder for a sponsor. I don't know if Union Berlin have since found a sponsor. Yeah, Daniel says, is that the sponsor they did an MLS archive thing? Yeah, it's kind of that vibe, isn't it? I mean, it's quite fun to see, and I quite like this. The kind of team name as a sponsor is a very nostalgic, as Daredevil's alluding to, a kind of early MLS thing, isn't it? Yeah, I think this one falls a little bit short, but it's still in the counter tier and kind of middle of the counter tier, mid to high. I think the colorway again is a bit of a letdown, or at least it doesn't really excite me too much. Of course, red being one of the big colors of the team, I get that. But I think the various tones of greys and blacks aren't really vibing with the aesthetic of the pattern for me. I don't think that's a good fit. When you look at this pattern, it has the kind of like almost like a kind of like a blanket or a weave look. Like, I think there's something to be said about, you know, adding a bit more colour within this pattern. Just little pops of red here, or even white. I think that could have added quite a lot. But in the tonal look, I don't love it as much. That's just my take anyway. We'll still go somewhere here, you know, kind of middle to high. I mean, this is the part of the tiers where it gets very, very, very busy. But that's what we love. Let's continue. We have Pohang Steelers, their away and home kits. So we, you know, get a nice 1-2 double here from the Korean side. If we start with so this is an interesting combo. At first, when I saw this, I thought, okay, we've got a mirrored home and away look. But it's very interesting to me that you have the kind of straight hoops of the home, which looks pretty strong. And then we have the kind of jagged lightning bolt style look of the away. And honestly, it's kind of fun to me to have this as a combo, because they're both kind of broadly under the hoops umbrella, and yet the away goes for a much more kind of jagged, jarring look, slightly kind of off kilter, and of course again with the kind of lightning bolt-esque design. That's quite a fun point of difference. Now, it does say this is the ACL, so this could be just the European kits, or sorry, not European, the continental kits, of course, for Pohang Steelers being the Asian Champions League. Yeah, I think actually as a tandem these work pretty well. I do quite like this base start. This is one of Puma's best collars at the moment from their current range of kits. And it's a very small thing, but I personally quite like the fact that, and I don't think we should, you know, ignore this. See how the white pinstripe here, which is framing the hoops in the middle, how that neatly tucks in just above the cuff, the arm cuff. That is a small but I think positive decision, which genuinely makes a difference for me. And actually, when I look at this kit now, I think actually I like this one a lot. I'd go as far as to say this is probably a kind of high flames tier for me. It does a lot of things very well, and it is a very simple shirt in some ways, but I think the end result is strong. I'm not going to go crazy. This isn't pushing the Volcano tier, but I think this compares quite well to, say, some of the retro Svensken shirts we looked at the other week. And I noticed it does say the first kit. I don't know if this is based on an old kit, or maybe it's just another way of saying the home kit. But anyway, Pony Steelers, I actually kind of like this one. This is like sneakily, quietly, a mid to high Flames Tier shirt for me personally, which is, you know, very good rankings wise. Let's just kind of trim this one out so slightly, just so we can. There we go. That's Pony Steelers. What about their away shirt? Well, I don't like the away shirt as much. Now, again, I like the kind of contrast with the home. I'm quite into the fact that we have two broadly kind of hooped shirts, but this one again goes down a different direction. I'm going a bit low on this one, but I'm still thinking like this one is probably kind of right at the bottom. Well, I was going to say bottom of the Flames tier, maybe kind of high Candle tier. I think feels about right. I do like the combo. I think again, as a home and away shirt, this is actually quite a strong 1-2 punch from Puma, and it's good to see Puma. You know, I've been down on Puma quite a lot this year. I think this is actually one of Puma's best home and away kit combos. So there we go, Pony Steelers. Feeling pretty good about that one. I think again, if we go like top end of the counter tier, that feels good, and that is good stuff from Puma. And guys, I think we're gonna, well, let's just have a look here. I'm just checking now. We've got Brooklyn FC, which I do want to get to. I think that's a good point to leave it on. So let's bring up the aforementioned Brooklyn FC shirts from the brand. Well, I don't actually know. Is this homemade? I do not recognise the logo. So it could be an in-house kit. And yeah, I'm just checking out here. I'm not sure if you know any more, Matthew. Matthew, you mentioned about this. Unsure as to exactly who made the shirt, but let's talk about it. Now, if we start with the home, we've got the home and away to get through. We have a bit of an issue here loading the images. It could be that they're simply too big. So let's just see if we can get a bit more. We'll let it load. As it's doing that, we'll just quickly review where we are as we begin to draw to a close with a couple of shirts to go. The tier list continues to fill, guys, and we are still good. We've got a few more months of this, which I'm excited to do, and I'm very glad, very grateful for those who've joined us on the journey. This is like, I'd be amazed if anyone's bothered to do this many rankings in the tier list. Then fair play to them, but I'm calling this the world's biggest football shirt tier list. If it isn't, it's got to be up there. And yeah, we've still got plenty of months, plenty of shirts to go. Now, looking again at the Brooklyn shirt, collar looks good, similar to the Puma collar we talked about. Even though the pattern, the BKFC here is just sublimated, it looks like. I don't mind that, and I think the crest again, we've got a bit of a raised plastic TPU situation, not the worst by any means. And I think the big kind of letter style, it works pretty well as a base style in terms of that kind of icon crest look. I'm intrigued. Honestly, I think the kind of taping of the shirt could have been much more of a feature. For me, I'm getting rid of the BKFC in the body of the kit, and I'm maybe either repeating it along the kind of taping in a kind of repeat logo, or doing some sort of other repeat logo style, I think that would have looked stronger. Even though, you know, the kind of the execution of the paneling could be better. Thank you, Matthew. Some great intel. Always love it when the chat helps me figure out what's going on. It says it's Diaza or Diaza, a brand started by Colombian footballer Diego Hurtado. Great stuff. Good knowledge there. You know, there are things to like. I mean, if you look again at the shirt, looking again at the fact that we've got a fully patterned back, and that's not to be discounted. And you can see clearly, you know, this is a shirt which has a certain kind of timeless quality to it. Of course, being black does not hurt at all, but the black and grey, black and silver combo, extremely wearable. It looks good. The sponsor as well is pretty great. So this one ticks a lot of boxes. I think we're talking kind of low flames tier. I don't think we're going any higher than that. But Knowledge says nice jersey. It is a nice jersey, and I think again, it wouldn't take too much for it to go much higher up in my rankings. But I'm going to stick with a kind of low to mid flames tier. But this is interesting actually, and I didn't know this. Ian, again, this is what we're talking about, guys. Top knowledge, top input from the chat. Ian says, boo to the sponsor. Expensive canned water for the same guys who ruined the concert experience in Ticketmaster and Live Nation. These shirts kind of look like they are for basketball umpires. He definitely has that look. I think, you know, the pinstripe look. Yeah, the basketball umpires, the kind of the baseball vibes, they're definitely there. I must admit, I wasn't aware of who Liquid Death were. I quite like the aesthetics of the logo. I'm thinking somewhere in this tier for me personally. So something around here feels good. But I do appreciate the input, guys, as always. Yeah, Dead was saying kind of only baseball jersey. How does the away compare? Now again, some similarities. Notably no BKFC kind of watermark. We also have again some of the similarities of kind of a pattern back. Obviously the crest and the sponsor continuing the theme. And I must say, I think they've incorporated the brand logo. It sits in quite nicely. It's quite interesting actually because of the kind of double pinstripe, reminiscent of the logo itself. So it you know, albeit the logo is slightly thicker, the lines here, of course, than the pinstripe, but that's quite interesting. This one I think I like a little bit less, but not by much. I think it does some of the same things quite well. Again, it's not the kind of highest quality look. It's a slightly cheaper looking collar. Well, it is a cheaper looking collar, but I don't mind the base style. And you know, it's interesting, this color. I'm intrigued by this base color. We've got it down as grey/silver. It could just be the marketing or the kind of product shots. There's almost a slightly beige tone to this as well. And I said there wasn't a BKFC watermark. You do see it. I think this area of the kit could have been a lot better. To be honest, when I see this, you've got kind of, you know, if that was a little bit thinner and a bit more, well, and basically made use of that area of the shirt, the kind of taping style could have been so much better, and it would have added a lot to the kit. I'm still broadly into this, and I would say, you know, I put the home in the Flames tier. I don't think this is going to be far behind. We will stick it in the top of the counter tier for Brooklyn FC. So a solid, if not particularly spectacular, home and away combo. But very intrigued, and good to see a new brand here from, well, we've got the likes of Diaza here, but interested to see what else they bring to the space, what else they bring to the table. Let's get it on the board, and then, guys, we'll do a bit of a review before we call it a stream. So yeah, I think we can go somewhere here. That feels good. In terms of what we've looked at today, mostly things clustered here, but I must say Pro Exteriors, I really was vibing with the home shirt, and Macron and Basel continue to be one of my favourite tandems in world football. Their third shirt also placing very well. But you know, quite a cluster in this kind of region. You know, this is the busiest area of the tier list, and we did have a few shirts rank there today. But that is a wrap, guys. And I'm just quickly checking. Yeah, we're looking good there. So thank you very much. Great to be hanging out today. And thank you especially for those who who've tuned in for the first time. If you have, hope you enjoyed this this stream. We do this most Thursdays. We also hang out on Tuesday evenings for a bit of eBay football shirt shopping. And there's other videos on the channel. I don't do regular kind of pre-recorded videos simply because they do take a lot of time. However, there are still some in the works. So if you subscribe, you will know first when those go live. But thank you guys. I'll be here for a couple more minutes. So if you've got any questions, any comments, anything you're looking forward to this weekend, or any comments on your new kind of purchases or things like that, feel free to stick it in the chat, and I will happily offer my 2 cents. But if not, thank you for your time. And if you're watching this after the fact, maybe you're watching this later in the day, or even later in the week, thank you as well, because I do appreciate those who do tune in. Excuse me, not live, but after the fact, I do appreciate that very much. Yeah, thank you for honestly, guys, thank you for your support. It really is appreciated. So Doug says, what's the shirt currently at the top of the Volcano Tier? Well, it is actually the FC Basel away in. I said at the top of the stream, I've just bought that as well, so that's on its way in. And I like to do, most years, if I can get at least 1 or 2 shirts from the Volcano Tier, I'm happy. And the Basel one, that's going to be up there. I mean, what's funny actually, I think yeah, I think we've managed to do that every year we've done the Hot Wall. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing the Basel one in person. Ian says, looking forward to wearing my new green Didcot Town away shirt. I didn't know about their new green shirt, Ian, but that's good. Am I right? It's unless I'm misremembering the names, Didcot was the team, one of the teams that were involved in the kit scandal. Oh, I say scandal, but the kit clash debacle. Was that Didcot, or am I thinking of someone else? Either way, that's very nice, Ian. Good stuff. Get to a new shirt. I'm all for. Sometimes I like to buy shirts and I never wear them. But having said that, all about, of course, wearing your collection as well. If they're not for wearing, what are they for? And Daniel said, you think Fulham and the Jags will ever do a kit collab or inspiration? Honestly, I wouldn't rule anything out. I'm surprised we've not seen anything yet. Unless I'm forgetting, we've not really seen a lot in the way of overlap, and I assume that's by design. That Shah Khan is kind of deliberately keeping those his 2 of his teams somewhat distinct, somewhat separate. I imagine that's partly because he doesn't want to upset either fan base. And obviously for many years there was a lot of, the NFL made it very clear that they wanted a team based in the UK. I think they probably still do. But it's interesting to kind of note that. But some of the noise on the Jags has died down since the Khans have kind of put a bit more money into Jacksonville and things like that. So, I mean, I'd personally rather they stayed in Jacksonville. Anyway, that's a whole conversation. Of course, guys, thank you for hanging out. Great to see so many regulars here and a few new faces as well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for hanging out with me for this past hour or so. I will sign off. I will see you hopefully a bunch of you next week, and if not before long. But thank you for your time, and yeah, have a good rest of your week. Yeah, I think there is potential there, Daredevil. It would be very, you'd have to get it right, you'd have to balance it right, but I think there's potential there. Maybe in a training kit collection, or third, yeah, like you said, a third kit. I think that could definitely has some potential. Good stuff, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you very soon.